Hello, Sundaygrass listeners. My name is Sammy D, and I am your Sundaygrass Radio correspondent. This month on From the Heart of Bluegrass, we are joined by the beautiful and very talented Caroline Owens. Hi, Caroline.
Howdy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're very excited to have you. For anybody who maybe doesn't know you or hasn't heard your music before, maybe you can give just a general overview of who you are and what kind of music you make.
Yeah. Well, I got started in church, actually, like a lot of pickers did. I grew up singing in church, and I've been singing since I was really small. Been singing since I was 2. And I joked the other night and told someone I've been singing about 10 years, but I wish I was 12. But anyway, I got started singing in church, and that really blossomed into picking. I didn't start off picking, so then I picked up the guitar. And a mentor of mine who played bluegrass, Greg Luck, he was like, "Hey, you're all right at this. I think you might could give a go at this." And so he introduced me to some really interesting people that I was starting to listen to, like Allison. I always loved her. And so that really, it scratched the itch for me pretty early on. I must have been 12 or 13. So it's been a couple of years ago, obviously. And that's what really catapulted this interest. Now, of course, I didn't make a career of it when I was 12, but it really interested me. So I started going to festivals, and I started going to fiddlers conventions and jams. And I'm from North Carolina, so that's the bluegrass hub. There was always something going on, and I was incredibly lucky to get to do that. So it really took off from there. I started winning fiddlers conventions pretty early on with vocals, and then from there, I just took a leap of faith when a few years ago and moved to Nashville. And well, I say I took a leap of faith. I was a little calculated. I had just signed my first deal with an independent label here,
Right on.
and that really helped me a lot. So that's when I moved to Nashville about 2 or 3 years ago, and after that, I signed with Billy Blue Records and as a publisher and as a recording artist, and did a couple singles that just came out. So
Yeah, here
that's
we
what I do.
are. Here we are.
Just a long story to tell you that I do a little bit of music.
You do a little bit of bluegrass.
A little bit of bluegrass. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. So you said you grew up in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your childhood growing up and how that influenced, where you are now with your music career.
Well, that's what they always say in therapy, right? Tell me about your childhood. What's going on? But it was really great. I mean, a lot of people can't say that, and it's unfortunate. But I had a great upbringing. There was always music in the house, and it's not because my parents played, they didn't. Nobody played really that much, but there was always something going on that would interest me. My parents had a piano. They got that before I was born. And so I was always plucking around on that before I picked anything up. And we were involved in other things when I was a kid. We played sports. I'm a deeply competitive person, believe it or not.
What sports
And
did you play?
I played basketball for 10 years. I loved it.
Okay, right on.
I'm not saying I was Michael Jordan, but I really enjoyed doing that. And did swim team for a while. That was a complete disaster. And, so, I tinkered around and everything back home, but nothing stuck the way the bug did, seems like.
I heard on an interview previously that you actually got into bluegrass through YouTube. Is that true?
Well, I was listening to Alison Krauss. Yeah, it's just, when you're 12, YouTube is your lifeline.
Totally.
Just something you love to do. And Greg, my mentor, was telling me, hey, you kind of have some inflections there of someone I think you might like. And unbeknownst to me, I did have some similarities in Krauss's voice, even when I was small and I didn't know it. And so I took a listen, and it was Heaven's Bright Shore was one of the first things that popped up, which was a huge hit for her. Still to this day is a massive song. And turned it on, and I was like, I like this. And so it didn't take long for me to get pretty addicted to it. Yeah, I was a YouTube queen. I was on there all the time.
And so, other than Alison Krauss, who were some other musical influences for you growing up and coming up in the bluegrass scene?
Easily Dolly.
Yeah,
I
I can hear
always loved
that in
Dolly.
in you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. And there was a lot of things I was doing when I was little. you know, before I found out about YouTube, there were a lot of things that I was doing that I didn't even realize might be reminiscent of these people that I enjoyed. But I think it was just that country, down home honesty
Hmm.
in what I was doing. There was no, oh, you got to stay on this. There was just no, I just felt what I felt and I sang. And so there were a lot of people that influenced me when I think back. But when I think about Dolly and Allison and all the people that really I dug into, those are the two that stand out. Now I have guilty pleasure artists that I love to listen to now.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh gosh, I'm a Nora Jones fanatic. I
Nice.
love anything she's ever done. I was listening to her last night, coming home. It's just, I just love that stuff. I actually really don't listen to one specific genre at any given day. I could be listening to anything. I mean,
Okay.
I admire different things, and I think it helps you grow when you're digging into stuff. And there may be one artist that I don't prefer their singing, but I prefer their songwriting. And there
Right.
may be one artist where I like vice versa, or their instrumentation, or whatever it may be. I may go the whole day and just listen to instrumentals. It just depends on what I'm digging into. And so I have a lot of different people I listen to. But to answer your question, to get back to that, I did have my two favorites, which was
Yeah.
Dolly and so yeah.
Right on. Well, those are great role models to have. Was there a moment in your music career once you started taking it a little bit more seriously and thinking like, this is it. This is what I want to do?
Absolutely. Yes, and it was when I graduated high school. So I guess not too long ago. Maybe I can say that to make myself feel like I'm younger. But um yes, definitely. I was kind of at a crossroads there. It's like when you graduate, everyone's like, well, what are you gonna do? It's like, well, I guess I better figure that out. But I always had an idea of what I wanted to do. I loved music. I was also very interested in medicine. And I was
Okay.
very interested in everything that had to offer. And I was considering going into cardiothoracic surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved all of that stuff and considering it very much so. And things started to fall into place like I could not have imagined them to be. It
Right.
was very, I don't know if there's a word to say other than prophetic almost. Like,
Like
oh, okay,
serendipitous.
very
Yeah.
serious. That's my favorite movie, Serendipity. Um, yeah, serendipitous. It was like March of 2020, which was a bit of a thing too.
Mm,
Nothing was going on, but things were falling into place for me. I was like, oh, okay, this seems like something I could get into. Like I say, I always loved it, but there's a big difference in loving something and being able to do it.
mm-hmm.
When you can do both, that might be your calling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took it and I ran with it, and it was difficult and still difficult. I think anyone who says that it's not difficult might be telling you a bit of a fib,
Yeah.
uh, or maybe they have everything figured out and I don't. But I don't feel like that's the case anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so that's when I got started. Was when I graduated high school, and I two words. What did they say? Two paths were before me, and I took the one less traveled. Is it Frost who said that? And so that's what I did. I
Right
love it.
on. That's not easy to do when you're young and you're coming out of high school and you're seeing a lot of people go off to school and choose like more traditional career
Yeah,
paths. Yeah.
it was. I think probably in the back of some folks' mind, they were going, "Well, I think you'd probably make a great doctor." And so
Yeah.
there was always that, I'm sure. But
How did your family and like people around you in your life feel about you making that choice?
they loved it.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. I mean, so many people, they have a dream, but sometimes that's all that they have, and that's not enough sometimes, and that's just the fact of it. If you're going to be a dreamer, you better be a doer. That's what I
Yeah.
heard Lenny Wilson say. And sometimes without that support, a lot of people, their dream doesn't come to fruition, and it's not their fault. But I was lucky that everyone was supportive.
Right
I
on.
found no trouble with that. Um, if anything, the people who wouldn't be supportive would be the people already in the industry who might have some pushback to say, maybe you could choose something different.
Hmm.
But there was just like this innocence in all of us, I think,
Hmm.
because they had never been in music and I had not, that they were like, yeah, I think you should try it. So I never had any pushback. I never had anything but love.
That's pretty cool.
Very lucky.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because I think a lot of parents would probably see it as a pipe dream or something that isn't realistic, something that, you'd be taking a big chance with your life on. So that's wicked that you had that support from the people around you. It makes a difference when you're putting
Yeah,
yourself on the line.
it does, you know. And they were probably thinking too, well, she could do music and or we could pay for medical school. So I think they might have went wrong either way. It seemed like what they picked. So
Both expensive.
both very expensive. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so, like, tell me a little bit about those early phases in your career. How did it feel to be like putting out your own song for the first time?
Vulnerable.
Mm,
You know, I was always excited to get to do stuff like that. Everybody wants to hear their song on the radio.
mm-hmm,
Everybody wants to drive down the road and hear it and everyone be excited. But there's this vulnerability to it of I've never done this before. They don't know me.
mm-hmm,
How will they accept me? You know, because when you're in your own bubble, like I was talking about with family, they love it. It's like, let's go. Let's go to Nashville. But then you're introducing yourself to the industry and essentially putting yourself out there saying, this is me. I hope you like it. You
mm-hmm,
know, and you're used to getting this from mama and dad.
mm-hmm,
And maybe you don't get that from everyone else.
mm-hmm,
And so there was this vulnerability that I was hyper aware of and then consistently hyper aware of that people might criticize or that they might be disinterested.
mm.
And so when I think about my first release, unfortunately, those are some of the things that came to mind. Now, once we got going and the heartbreak train started rolling down the tracks, we were okay. And I felt a little bit better. But I think as a new artist and even people who've been doing it forever, we still seek that validation.
Mm-hmm,
Like we want to be accepted.
mm-hmm.
And so when I think about the first release, exciting, vulnerability, I think the two coexisted for a long time. Still do.
Do you think that the bluegrass community as a whole is generally accepting of new artists come breaking through and putting new music out?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do really well with that.
Yeah.
Now, I think like anything, there are folks who aren't appreciative or might be unaccepting. That wouldn't matter if you were serving lunch in the cafeteria.
Yeah. You're
You
right.
know, it doesn't matter what job it was. It didn't matter. If I had become a doctor, I'm very aware that I would not have been accepted in most fields. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so you might as well say, hey guys, here I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do hope you like it because my livelihood does depend on if you like how to stick on the radio. You know, so yeah, I think they've been accepting. I actually would say they've been very accepting. You know, there are going to be critics, but I've been met with a lot more open arms than I have closed ones.
I've certainly felt that way. I'm pretty new to bluegrass genre, and I've felt that from the bluegrass world since being in it over the last year and a half. So
Good.
yeah, it does feel like a pretty welcoming community of musicians, artists, and people supporting the artists. So
Yeah.
um I'm curious what's something that you do personally to kind of manage those, I guess, emotions or thoughts or doubts that you might have as you're going along in your music career. What's something that you do to kind of manage that?
That is a great question. And I think that is an ongoing answer for a lot of people because as much as we wish that we could cut everything off, we just can't. And if we cut everything off, we might be not very human anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one of the things that I did this year that I didn't tell anyone about is everyone made New Year's resolutions. Most everyone I knew made them. I never have, but this year I did. And I didn't announce it. I didn't tell anyone. Well, I tell you, actually, I had two. One was to lose 10 pounds and cut out sugar. I did that one. And
Hey, way to
I told
go.
everybody I was going to do that because nobody was going to get sugar in front of me. But then the second one that I kept to myself was two words, and that is care less.
Mm.
Because I was holding on to so many things. I've always been a people pleaser, extremely, to a degree where it would affect me. And I find that a lot when I talk to other artists.
Yep.
It's a thing a lot of people run into because it's art.
Yeah.
But I was caring a lot. And so my New Year's resolution was to care a little bit less.
Mm.
And it didn't mean that I had to be hostile towards anyone or that I had to even say that that's what I was doing. It didn't change my outward demeanor at all. I don't think I could change my demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized if I didn't protect this just a little bit, especially this right here, that it would soon come back to bite me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could already see in ways that it was doing it with how bogged down I was.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have that when you're making art.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to sit in it for a little while. You can get a lot of good songs out of being upset.
That's true.
But you can get a lot of good songs with being like this, you know? And so my New Year's resolution was to care less. And then when I started caring less, I realized that people actually cared less than I thought they did. And not in a bad way. It's like, wow, I can do anything I want to do. You know, free will is such a wild thing. It's like, I could go stand on that bed right now if I wanted to. And it was such a freeing thing to think about. It's like, nobody cares what I do on Sunday. They don't care what time I wake up if I'm tired. I'm setting that for myself. And so, anyway, I said that long story to say that's the one thing that I do is I try to care less. Oh, you know, they didn't like my song. Well, I like it. And not in an egotistical way, because I don't want to be that way, but in a way that I go, you know what? 12-year-old me would go ecstatic over that, and I'm not going to let her down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let them do this. So that's what I've been doing and kind of guarding my heart, as they say.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel like you let me in a little bit with that. And I hear what you're saying. It's like care less, but it's not caring less about what you're doing. It's just being a little bit more nonchalant about how other people perceive your
Yeah.
work and knowing that it's a long game and you're on the path and you're on the path that you want to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing about your new your early career. Let's talk about where you're at right now. You just put out a new single on April the 24th, right, Caroline? Can you tell me a little bit more about your new single?
Well, April 24th feels like a lifetime ago. It's like it was last week at the date that we're recording this. But April was a long year, like I was telling you earlier. And so a lot has transpired even since then. And it's inspiring me because the song was written to be inspired by. You know, it is a murder ballad bluegrass tune, okay? You can't have bluegrass without a little bit of murder, right? But you know, when I put it out, I was hoping it would do what it's doing, and that is speaking to people. You know, everybody in their life will know an Evangeline. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And I started digging into statistics when we were writing the song, and 1 in 3 women will be Evangeline.
Mm.
You know, at some point in their lives, and it's extremely unfortunate statistic, and no one was talking about it.
So what does it mean to be an Evangeline?
Well, it means that a woman will be abused at some point in her life in the 1 in 3. And many won't handle it like Evangeline. They probably shouldn't handle it the way this handled it. But that's a fictional story, but a very big reality. And so we mixed fiction with reality. And the reality is that people struggle. Women struggle with being abused, and it's by the person who is supposed to be protecting them. And that's exactly what this song talks about. There's something to be said about women sticking together, and I didn't feel like that was a subject that was covered enough, not just in bluegrass but in any genre. You know, a lot of times women are pitted against each other, and that's just not the way it has to be. And so there was a lot of stuff that I wanted people to take away. And I think people are taking their own things away from it too that I don't even think about. So my goal was to just say what needed to be said. And I think that's every songwriter's goal, but I tried to do it in the most poetic way as possible. Sometimes that means just taking them down to the river. So just is what it is.
Tell me a little bit about like the making of Evangeline. Who wrote the song? Who's on the track? Tell me about that.
Well, I co-wrote this song with my good friend Lacey Green, who actually has 3 songs on the record, including this one. She's a fantastic writer, and we started writing together a little bit ago. And she's just wonderful. And there's something to be said about writing a song with another woman too,
Mm,
because luckily, we're not the one and three. But if the two of us are not, there's someone down the street who would make the third.
hmm.
And so there was this vulnerability in the room when we wrote this, and the awareness. So it was a heavy write, but she's always a lot of fun. So
Hmm.
it was a big deal to get to write this with her. And Suzanne Cox put some background vocals on this. I can't even believe I get to say that. She is another one that I listened to when I was growing up. I learned to sing harmony from the Cox family record.
Oh, that's
We
wonderful.
would drive down the road and I'd sing along to it. And so to have her sing in harmony to me on Evangeline, it just it chokes me up, you know?
Yeah, that's
She's just
pretty
the
cool.
best. And so she came in and lended harmony vocals. Cody Kilby laid down the guitar work. I said, "You take this, so I'll let you have the video." So Cody Kilby did the guitar. Andy Leftwich took fiddle. Matt Menifee, banjo. Darren Aldridge played mandolin and produced this song. And
Ooh,
Mike Bubb played the upright bass. And they are, I would say the Fantastic Four, but they're the Fantastic Five.
the dream team.
They're the dream team. Yeah,
Nice.
very
Right.
lucky.
Can you share anything else about what's coming up for you in the next like 6 to 12 months, music wise?
Yes. Well, what do they say? Depression is focusing on the past and anxiety is focusing on
Yeah.
the future. So that gave me a little bit of a heart attack there. Well, I've got a new album coming out that Evangeline's going to be on. It's the third single we've put out from the album. It's called Low Flying Planes. And
Wow. Exciting.
I saw that title going down the road. Like when you get to a small airport and they have to warn you, hey, you might see a plane the size of a smart car coming above you might want to slow down. And that's how I saw that sign. And
Oh, I love that.
I saw it probably, gosh, a few years before I put out my first record. I've been holding
Wow.
on for a while. I just knew it would find its place when it needed to find its
Mm.
place. And so not only is it the title of the record, there's a song that goes with it. It's called Low Flying Planes. And I don't want to give too much of it away because it's just, it has its own thing, it has its own life.
Yep. No,
I
that's
really,
great.
I really think people will like it. I hope that they like it. Again, this goes back. Hey, if they don't, we're really proud of it. And so that's going to come out this summer. I want to say my last album came out in 24, so there'll be a
Okay.
little spacing in between them. It might have been the end of 23. I should check that. But when I signed with Billy Blue, I was actually freshly. I just put the album out not too long before that, so I hit the ground running with them to get this one started. And
Awesome.
I'm not I'm not a person who goes in the studio and knocks it out. I've decided to not put that pressure on myself. I'm a perfectionist, and when it gets done, I try to get it done within a timely manner. But when it gets done, I feel satisfied with it if I don't rush. And so I've learned to not rush. And so it's going to come out, and we're going to be playing the station in, making our debut with some of those tunes that are going to be on the record. And so many fun
Congratulations. That's
things,
exciting.
things I'm lucky to get to do.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear the record when it comes out.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing everything about, your upbringing and your music. I feel very grateful to have you on the show. I'm so happy to get to know you a little bit better. And before we close out our interview tonight, Caroline, I'm gonna try something new with you. So
Yeah.
I'm calling this the quick lick flat pick and six. Okay. So this is my speed round of questions for you.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through the questions and I want you to give me like short, either like one word, one sentence answers, first thing that comes into your head. And then we're going
Oh,
to move on to the next one.
this
Okay.
is really dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, do it.
All right. Here we go with the quick lick, flat, pick, and six. First question is, if your instrument could talk, what's one thing it would say?
Play me more.
Yeah. What is the most bluegrass thing you've ever done off stage?
Well, only a few words, right?
Yep.
The most bluegrass thing I've ever done on stage, off stage,
Off
right?
stage.
Oh gosh, this is a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. I would say change my clothes in the gas station bathroom.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Question number 3, campfire jam or festival main stage?
Festival main stage. I'm not a jammer.
Okay, getcha. Question number 4, if your life in this moment had to be summed up by one song, what would it be?
I know somebody who would laugh at this question. One song, The Climb.
Nice. I love that answer. Right on. Um, Question number 5, what's something you typically do before every show?
Well, I tell you one thing I should do, and that's vocal warm ups.
Yeah,
What do I do though? I usually pump myself up. I'll listen to music.
right on. Right on. Okay, and last question, question number 6. This one is called, is it a bluegrass band or a landscaping company? So you answer whether you think it's a bluegrass band or a landscaping company, all right?
It's dangerous.
The Grass Guys.
Mm. I'm gonna go bluegrass.
It's a landscaping company.
Shoot! And I almost said that. Oh,
It's
good.
actually local to me. I saw a sign outside of my apartment building and it said the Grass Guys. And I was thinking that'd be a good name for a bluegrass band.
I was wrong. I was tricked.
All right. That is the Quick Lick Flat Pickin' Six with Caroline Owens. Thank you so much for being here at Sunday Grass. Where can people find you if they want to hear more about you, learn more about you, or come to see you play?
Well, CarolineOwensOfficial.com has all of my tour dates where you can come check us out. Of course, Facebook and Instagram, you can check us out there. Caroline Owens Official. Facebook is just Caroline Owens. You can check out what we're doing. Of course, Spotify, we're Evangelinas. We love for you to stream. It doesn't make a penny, but it's good when you stream.
Yeah.
So, anywhere you can find us, please find us. Check us out. Come to a show.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Caroline, for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Bye.